watching Alliance today. Like after their game with EG ended, they sat down, they watched Alliance, and they were like, "Wow, these guys are really good." And for Fnatic in this game too, I want them to. If I was giving them advice, I'd say you have to stop obsessing about Alliance's game plan. Obsess about your own.
Mm-hmm.
They had Chen and Bane. Chen and Bane actually should be able to do some sort of roaming oppression. They were going up against a Templar Assassin in the mid, and people might have forgotten, TA was very ubiquitous. Everybody ran her in the mid all the time, and then stopped. And the question is, why did they stop? Well, they stopped because people were aggressively ganking her. So why didn't Fnatic aggressively gank? Why didn't they do anything about the fact that Alliance triple stacked most of their jungle and then cleared it out with Nature's Prophet and Templar Assassin? Chen and Bane should have been able to make incursions into that jungle, reduce the rate at which Alliance were hitting their critical timing, and create space for Trixie. They didn't do any of that. They played a completely defensive game built around getting Era farmed up into the game. Alliance noticed. I mean, they're a team that's good. They'll know to prey upon your weaknesses. They're like, hey, Fnatic are playing scared. We don't have to worry about them for 10, 15 minutes, and then we can just push through once we hit our critical items. And they hit a super fast blink on S4. They got a couple DD runes, and they were like, it's go time. And in this game, Fnatic have to make sure that Alliance, like, they don't just play into Alliance's hands. They have to have a plan. This is what they're usually good at. They have to have a plan and execute on it.
Exactly. And so they're kind of building it up right now. They pick up the launcher once again, but they obviously have to shift their mindset. They need to go on the aggression. Unfortunately, they have to ban out the bat right themselves, afraid of S4s, and then along with that, they are going up against the Magnus here. So they're looking at a couple different options that can shut it down early on. Hani's Puck is one great option, but they're going to go with a very similar lineup. Apparently, they feel that it wasn't necessarily a drafting error, but that of execution. And so I'm expecting a lot more rotation, a lot more pressure to be put out, because similar to Templar Assassin, Magnus is one of those heroes that is not going to lose his lane unless unless
totally
there's
cut out.
Yeah, no
that's
problem.
Not me.
No, it's the connection either way. But Magnus is a hero that's not going to be losing his lane directly unless there's some outside intervention, unless some people put some pressure on so that even bottle crowing won't be enough. And we're going to have to see a lot of early smokes coming out of No Tails Chen and some great support to set it up as well. Yeah. Either way, Gyrocopter picked up for Alliance's carry, presumably.
I kind of agree with Fnatic's logic that it wasn't necessarily a drafting loss. I think their plan was okay. It's just, yeah, we talked about it. Like, they didn't really do much with it. Alliance, meanwhile, S4 Magnus is very, very good. He's actually one of the mids that transitioned to being an effective Magnus the most quickly. Magnus, like you said, is really different from most mids. Like, a lot of players who are mid players really like those, like, playmaking, like, I'm going to go around the map and just gank whoever I want. Magnus is more focused around the team fight, although he's actually really formidable in 1v1 situations as well. And S4 is one of the best Magnus players. We'll see what he puts together here. Lone Druid, pretty okay against Magnus just because he can stay in the back and have the bear in the front, so Magnus isn't always going to catch him in RP. But Fnatic are still going to have to put some effort into making sure that S4 doesn't just rule this game. Magnus is hard to gank, harder than TA, but maybe it's something they still have to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more pressure coming out. Now that the Nature's Prophet is available and Alliance can just really start actually going for more aggression. I think they're not going to go for nearly, if they expect more pressure, they're not going to go for Midas Prophet. They're just going to go for big TP ganks, maybe even go for like the classic Earnest Shadows and try to go into more of a team play Prophet rather than just go for late game. Of course, it really depends on what carry Fnatic drafts on up and if they're going to be going and needing a Scythe of Ice, as we kind of talked about and deliberated about a little bit up against that Anti-Mage. But for right now, they feel pretty confident about their mid game as long as they control the Rubik's positioning. If they can lock down Rubik, they don't have to worry about call down or reverse polarity being stolen, and from there they can really just deliver so much damage to the team fights. I mean, yes, Lone Druid's very tanky, but you can't draft all tanky heroes, and we see that here with the Rubik and the Chen. They can be locked down hard, and that can be just, yeah, food for the slaughter. Gyrocopter, flak hitting on things on down, bringing down Chen creep, so on and so forth. So I think both teams are relatively happy with their draft going on through the first phase, but they're going to definitely have to step it up and kind of have a little bit of a clairvoyance as to what the enemy is going to be looking to draft up.
No, it's actually Vikramond, Blaze, not Clairvoyance. No, but
oh gosh.
A quick PSA to people in Twitch chat. I just noticed Fnatic are marked as having won game one, and we are going to have so much issue with knowing what the score is. Just to be super duper clear, Alliance won game one, so it's 1-0 Alliance. We're heading into game two. even though I said this, I know we're going to get like a trillion questions in the stream. But yes, Alliance are ahead 1-0. Ignore the little green pips at the top.
Yeah, that was they swapped sides. I was lagging in the lobby, so I was distracted by a couple different things. Also trying to get gun run on the line to help the Twitch issues. So I take full credit. I messed up on the little tiny green dot. Credit, blame, whatever you want to go with. It's not a positive, but you know I don't care. It's not going to be that big a deal, no matter how. Yeah, if they can flame me about a tiny dot, they can flame me about anything. So have at it, guys. Either way, going on into the bans, we do see an Alchemist taken off the board as well as a Beastmaster. Interesting diversity of the drafts, but I completely understand it. The Hani going in with a Beastmaster early on, great single target disables, can screw over a Magnus or a Gyrocopter really early on. You can say the same about that Unstable Concoction. Long, very well set up disables, chain back to back. If Chen has the Dark Troll Summoners, it's even easier, but one way or another, they're really uncertain about those powerful stuns and of course the potential for that Storm Spirit to run rampant, as you mentioned in the last draft.
They're just taking out, in the second ban phase, Alliance are looking at Fnatic, like classic Fnatic heroes. It's less about general bans, and it's more about getting Fnatic out of their comfort zone. I love the Alchemist ban. Era plays an excellent Alchemist. It's multifaceted. He doesn't just rush. Like, in fact, it's actually really rare that we see Era get those, like, 1,000, 1,100 GPM Alchemist games. It's much more about matching his Goblin's Greed, Greevil's Greed, sorry, with Unstable Concoction and getting those big stuns, Shadow Blade, getting into fights and just dominating. And that would be an excellent pick in this game. And of course, the Storm Spirit, this is more about taking Fnatic out of their comfort zone. Hani's, I think Storm Spirit's probably pound for pound Hani's best mid-hero, so it's a good targeted ban there.
What do you think about the Juggernaut in this situation? We saw it banned out very early on in the previous banning phase. Now, it hasn't been mentioned. Do you think it's something Fnatic will pick up?
I would guess yes, now that I think Alchemist would have been their first choice. Jug is a good second choice. I think this actually gives them very good pushing approach, as long as, again, they actually push. But I think they will. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right there.
Okay, so I mean, they do have the Wrath of Nature and the Power Shot, as well as the Shockwave and the Flak Cannon. They have ways to alleviate that forthcoming damage, but they don't really have it in single target sense. They are very AoE-oriented heroes, and other than right-clicks, they don't have anything that focuses down and does a ton of damage to one individual, that individual being the Spirit Bearer. Once you have that Healing Ward active, if you can force them away from the tower and make sure that they can't at least bring that a tiny little green Healy Ward up and bring it down, then of course Lone Druid's Bear is just going to be chomping away at the tower for a long time. And Clockwork can pretty much stay up top lane in the off lane pretty much indefinitely. So,
do you think it's off lane Clock and mid Lone Druid, or vice versa?
They could technically run Lone Druid as a core and kind of try lane it, but I would prefer to see the Juggernaut pick up and then see Clockwork in the mid, Trixie in the off lane.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
Then Clock versus Magnus is great.
The Rubik is on Fnatic and not Alliance. Clockwork offlane would work okay. The main issue with Clockwork offlane is that Rubik is on the other team. Sorry, when Rubik is on the other team, is that it just lifts you out of your cogs, and then it's like you didn't have a cogs. But against this team, he might be able to survive the tri-lane. Of course, Trixie, he could survive the tri-lane no problem as well. So we'll have to see what they actually go with. I doubt, maybe I'm going to be totally wrong, but I really doubt it's going to be the tri-lane Lone Druid.
Yeah, I just don't see it fits into the strategy. Of course, we have to see how it panned out, how they felt about previously Trixie and his manipulation with the bear. It worked out pretty well, and they don't really have anything to drop it down this time. The Bane was banned out, and as such, I think that Trixie is going to have as good of a time as he did on the offlane, as good of a Lone Druid can have anyways. And from there, they just need to make more magic happen on the bottom. So we see Venomancer coming out, very interesting pick, but we also see this Luna coming on through.
Snap Luna.
So
I like this. If Fnatic want to fight early, Luna is the fight early lady.
Yeah.
And Clockwork also good at early disruption. If they cogs in a gyro, he's in trouble.
Exactly. One cool thing I think about the Luna is that one issue with Juggernaut is after his Omni Slash, he's a very immobile hero. Luna doesn't have the same problem. She built up Yasha, maybe even drums commonly, and she has an amazing base movement speed in the first place. So she's got a range, she can right-click over top of the cogs, and in general, she's not going to have nearly as much issue getting to where she wants to be to actually deliver some great damage. So still has some great push, maybe not as overpowered in the push sense compared to Lone Druid Juggernaut, but definitely more so in the team fight when she drops that Eclipse and just starts right-clicking away.
Yeah. Now, Alliance, this trial lane is dangerous, and I'd watch out for what happens in it, because EGM plays an excellent supportive Windrunner. If he gets some good stuns that they can just follow up with in the easiest Venomous Gale of your life, so to speak, then that's going to be a dead person, because Gyrocopter, when his targets are stationary, when his targets move slowly, he's going to pop that Rocket Barrage, and whoever's facing up against him is very, very, very dead.
So, No-Tail pulling up a salve over to Hani. That might indicate that he's actually going to be running on that off lane instead, and Trixie could be picking up the mid. We'll have to see in a moment. But as far as the tri-lanes working themselves out, it looks like those supports are going to be headed top. So, defensive tri-lane versus defensive tri-lane. In a 3 versus 1 environment, I don't think Admiral Bulldog has a chance on that bottom lane. He's going to have to go and opt for the jungle and pick up at least a couple levels before making his move down across the map.
He's not going to go to the bottom lane. He's going to do the same thing he did last time, which is the Midas Rush, I think.
Exactly. So with that in mind, we're going to see Bulldog picking up some early levels very, very quickly, but also that means absolutely no pressure coming out on bot, and in response, Fnatic's putting Trixie down bottom. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on in the mid lane, but right now we do see Hani setting up shop up top. Trixie is pretty confident about his bottom lane position, and as such, do you think maybe like a dual mid type composition?
No.
Or is Trixie just heading up and he's just messing around in the jungle for the moment?
It's actually tough to say, Blaze. I am at a loss. What do you think?
It's tough because Era does have that Wraith Band, and No-Tail pulled and Fly both pulled him some regeneration. So I think Era's going to be on that mid because they know they're not going to be able to support him as directly. So I honestly think it's going to be Era going Luna versus S4's Magnus, and that's going to be a decent lane for her.
Before level 5, he's going to be very strong. After level 5, as Magnus gets more and more ranks of Skewer and is able to just run away if he's in trouble, it'll be easier for him. But early on, Luna's going to do a decent job of pressing this Magnus better than Lone Druid would do at equivalent levels. And what this does do, Blaze, is completely free up their supports to roam.
As
far as going to get telekinesis.
Yeah, I think they're not going to get a kill or anything, but they're going to get big right clicks. I mean, look at that double damage plus Lunar Blessing. Can just do so much damage right here, and it forcing S4 back. Honestly, he shouldn't even be as close as he is. Like, he has to huddle into the tower, essentially.
The nice thing about this mid for Era is, now they can completely have Chen and Rubik free to roam around, try to get kills in each lane, really pressure out S4, which is one of the things that we said they had to do, and aid in this 1v3 lane for Hani, which is going to be problematic.
Yeah, I mean, Era won't get solo experience here with Fly's presence, but that's not something you expect from a Luna anyway. She's very commonly put in that tri-lane, and only the best of supports will refuse to leech any experience from a carry in that position. So Era's still going to find some great half experience, and of course he's going to find relative free farm until Magnus feels a lot more confident, until S4 gets Bottle, which is still a full 100 gold away. I honestly think that Era's just going to have full control.
Yeah, I mean, Bulldog isn't going to be joining in these fights for a little while, and so they can freely pressure S4 as much as they want. Ake rotating down.
Yeah, going in for a Gale here. They do telekinesis. They only get it on Fly, however, and so much damage comes from Era. They're going to get the first blood. He is killed, and Ake just standing here with his reduced damage from the Fade Bolt, pinpricking away at Era, but that's really not going to change anything here. They get the kill. It's split among two, so both Fly and Era greatly benefiting from that successful kill. And do you think she's going to go Bottle, or just stick around with good stat items?
I don't really see a good reason for Era to go Bottle here.
Well, he's got it, so better make one up.
One Vic 1, Blaze 1.
There we go. Okay, big damage onto Fly, though. They can't get the deny, unfortunately. He's just going to die. There's no chance for Era to actually retaliate, so yeah, they do get a kill here. It's going to go to Bulldog, and that does set them up nicely to put more pressure out on the Luna.
Really smart movement from Bulldog there. Just pick off. You know that Fnatic have gone for an approach where the supports have a lot of mobility. And if you can stop that mobility and Nature's Prophet can sort of critically move to junctures and disrupt that, then Fnatic have trouble enacting their game plan for the second game in a row. So you're going to see that more and more from Alliance. Bulldog appearing at annoying spots just to ruin Fnatic's plan.
Yeah. One thing to mention is, although they are putting a lot of pressure on S4, they're doing so much more to Hani. Actually, Loda maxing out his missile first. The tower isn't going to be able to bring it down, and Hani, of course, not being a ranged hero, has to tank it every time, and it's getting more and more painful. Of course, he's not running from it now, so that certainly helps, but still, Loda harassing him back, even without the help of EGM to some extent, meaning that Clockwork is still sitting on only 41 experience, and Hani's warded up, so they know his approach, and they're always going to be able to deny him that opportunity to level up.
Yeah, it's just too dangerous for Honey to actually approach, and this is the big problem for Fnatic. I mean, Clockwork is a big part of this mobile destruction force, and if he can't find levels, then he's not going to be relevant at all. Clockwork is one of those heroes that really, really actually wants to be at level parity with the competition, so that he can, if he's cogsed, he doesn't just immediately die. And Honey is going to pretty immediately die unless he starts to find levels, which I don't really see a spot for him right now.
No, he almost got the pull off, but unfortunately with the trees the way they were, he wasn't able to, they didn't break them down, and so they ran around. He had a very narrow window and unfortunately couldn't get the pull off, so instead he's just kind of sitting here. He's not going to be hitting level 2 anytime soon. He could do some more blocking with his cogs, but beyond that, the lane is really, really out of his reach.
Right. Now, the flip side of this level 1 Clockwork is they have the 2 highest level people on the map. They've got Lone Druid at 5 and actually Chen at 5.
Yeah.
No Tail has not participated in the motion just yet. He's gone all out, let's farm the jungle, let's get a quick mechanism. And so far, I mean, it's paying off. He's level 5, and he's doing very well.
Yeah, good rune control coming out of EGM, though. Using a power shot onto 2, getting tons of damage, and with the shockwave, Era just didn't want to commit to it. So controlling that illusion rune is going to force out a Bottle Crow, and it's already in use right now. Nature's Prophet going behind might be actually trying to bring down Captain Bamboo of all such atrocities. But actually just going to go right on top of Honey. No, pushing down the tower. They force him back once again with the homing missile, but they're just going to right-click down on this tower.
Still level 1. Trixie and No-Tail are at least putting a decent amount of pressure out on this bottom tower. Trixie, of course, level 6. He can pop into this Drew form. Oh, my god. Did we miss a kill?
Unfortunately, yeah, Rubik was able to bring him down. Era didn't have Eclipse, but just the burst damage from those nukes bring it down very, very quickly. I mean, if his S4 is in the wrong position and can't get the telekinesis off in time, it's going to be just... Or, sorry, the skewer off in time. Telekinesis and the... Lucent Beam is going to be enough to bring him down, and of course that's exactly what happened there. And along with that, Tier 1's tower dropping quickly. We do see the last hit goes to Lone Druid and the Gyrocopter, so relatively even, but obviously Gyrocopter benefiting from it just a bit more, concerning the fact that he's number 1.
Yeah. This Let's Annoy S4 strategy so far is pretty good. They've kept him from getting much in the way of last hits at all. He has only 17. He doesn't have his Arcane Boots. He's still 650 off. But what it hasn't done is deny him XP. He's still going to hit his RP in a pretty timely fashion. This is slower than you typically see, but no slower than Era.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a lot faster than the Clockwork. Level 2 Clockwork, not going to be able to commit to big engagements, big initiations. He's going to be underleveled as far as the fact that he won't actually have much HP to tank on the front lines. And the question is how he's going to get there without any boots right now. And of course, the hookshot not going to be available for quite some time. We do see Ake going for a second stack, so it's going to be triples for them. But unfortunately, we don't see that coming out of Fnatic. So there's no rebound opportunities for this Clockwork. And Hani's still just rocketing down the waves. Since the Tier 1's tower is down, he will be able to find some experience inevitably, but it's going to be a little bit too late for him to be effective in the initial engagements.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic, considering they're essentially, for now, 4v5, they're doing very, very well. The problem is sooner or later they're going to have to resolve the situation of being 4v5. Hani will hit level 3. I suspect it'll be something like level 2 rockets, actually, just so he can get last hits from afar. Oh, man. Just the homing missile zoning him out. It's so annoying to be solo against Gyro.
And it's insane damage.
Hit on him.
Yeah,
Admirable
they go on in. Admirable. Sprout isn't perfect, but the call down, the right click. Actually, the call down just barely missing it out. And with these cogs, he can force them back, going so deep in his jungle. Perfectly safe for the TP response from Trixie. Nice power shot attempt, but doesn't clip him.
Dude, that power shot was so close. Actually, Hani, really lucky. That was kind of an error from Loda, I have to say. The call down, if it were about 50 units south of where it was, would have done it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there are two things there. The Sprout goes a little too far south, and the call down, of course, just not anticipating enough. And in that sense, he was able to dive deep. And along with that, well, to just tack on that power shot, they didn't expect how far he'd dive into the trees. So from there, it was just a tiny bit short. And of course, that results in a missed kill on 3 different counts.
It's nicely played to Hani. I mean, let's keep in mind, even though he hasn't gotten any XP, he is doing okay. Like, he hasn't died. That's a big deal. The big deal in the solo lane is if you're behind on XP and you start feeding. So you start giving away gold to that #1 hero that's opposing you. You start giving away gold to the Nature's Prophet. And Hani hasn't done that. He's played very well defensively in this game. I kind of called him out in the previous game on the Windrunner just because he was out of position sometimes. And there were a couple questionable. Like, he picked up Focus Fire at 10 instead of a second rank of Windrun that I actually think directly led to him dying. But so far on this Clockwork, he's played much more sort of conservatively. And if he gets a couple more levels, I think he will be able to contribute. He's only 1 level behind EGM. Like, he's not doing that badly. It's bad, of course, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. So, this is very back and forth in my opinion. Both teams obviously have a lot of potential here. What I'm most concerned about is the fact that currently Fnatic is going to be looking at 4v5ing for some time. I talk about, whenever I see a Clock1 in the offlane not doing well, I always kind of rag on them over and over and over. I think Hani will be able to bounce back, but it's going to take some time. Without any Ancients stacked up, he's not going to be able to let Lone Druid just provide him some free experience, and as such, he's just going to be having to wait it out in the lane. This is something that they're not really prepared to wait for, because the aggression's going to start coming out. Yes, Magnus doesn't have his CS. He's not going to have his Blink Dagger all that quickly, but I think they're relying on Era as their primary team fighter at this stage, which is generally something you don't want to have to do.
I think it's okay in this case. This Luna, the Eclipse is a big deal. Alliance really don't have that many answers to it. Like, it's going to do a lot of damage in these fights, especially once he hits level 2 Eclipse. That rank 1 to rank 2 advantage of the Eclipse is quite good.
Exactly. I mean, Nature's Call is a pretty good one. I mean, if you spawn out those Treants, they're going to be able to mitigate some of that damage. But he's still going to find some kills with it, and I think, yeah, they have to just make sure they pick their engagements very carefully. Luckily, they can do that because they do have a vision advantage. During the nighttime, the Luna is going to be able to see further than any other hero in Alliance, and that's going to give them a pretty good perspective of where to move forward.
Right, exactly. And Trixie, meanwhile, let's not ignore him. He's having a pretty good time on the bottom this time. Much better than he had last time. Phase Boots up on the Bear. He's going to move into, Armlet, and hopefully he'll hit it a little more quickly than he had last time. Because, like, I mean, he didn't even have Armlet by the end of the game. We actually see No Tail and Fly up in smoke. I don't know who they will actually find. They want to get S4 again, because S4 has...
He has mana for Skewer, though. It's going to be rough. They go in, they have the telekinesis, but they use it immediately, bursting him down hard right on in to all those creeps. They had the ensnare if they needed, but obviously did not. That's just another quick kill for them, and very, very happy about it. This is the nighttime advantage. This is, of course, the manipulation of smoke on a hero like Chen, bringing everybody to the party to be able to drop him down quickly. There is some counter push, but this was enough gold for them to pick up the mechanism, even before No Tail's boots.
Yeah, and they probably get the tier 1 here as well. So they get the tower. I don't think Alliance can necessarily defend. They're going to TP back in. Actually, S4 could come in and make something.
They're going on. They're trying to make something happen, but they're already out of range. If they go for the shock or skewer into RP, they're just going to be grasping at straws. They're not going to find their opportunities. But we do see plenty of counter push coming out. The Plague Wards do piercing damage. For those that don't know, that means it's going to do 1.5 times the value to creeps, such as Chen's Holy Persuasion ones or the ones on the lane. Either way, great counter push mechanism that's going to allow them to force it back, as long as he has enough time to set it up. And in this sense, he's gotten 4 or 5 plagues out. He's raring to go, to the point that the tier 1 isn't really in jeopardy right now.
They were just, once S4 comes back, Fnatic aren't nearly comfortable enough to just keep going into an S4 Magnus, because even though he's had a slow start, like, no arcane boots. You have to keep track of where S4 is at. He's died 3 times.
Ouch.
He has no arcanes. He's not anywhere near Blink, so it will be hard for this Magnus to generate opportunities. But that can change like this. Like, he gets 1 RP on 3 or 4, they pick up those kills, the Magnus survives, there's Blink.
So, at this stage, I'm not sure which one is more painful, S4 not having any cash on him, or Clockwork not having too much as far as levels. He's making it up gradually, but still at 4.5, compared to that of S4 and having 380 gold. It's not that directly comparable, but in a sense it is, because it's actually making it whether or not it's an option for them to teamfight anytime soon. We do see a little bit of an issue with Skype. Hopefully that'll fix itself very, very quickly. But a nice courier snipe coming out from Admiral Bulldog. There wasn't anything on the courier, as far as I can tell, but nevertheless,
S4's off, by
very,
the way.
very painful. And now Admiral Bulldog in a bad spot will pop off his Wrath as a desperation maneuver, but there is going to be a kill, and Hani does pick him off really, really big there. Luna brings down the Nature's Prophet, and now they're ready to take a tier 1. This is their opportunity, and Loda missing a call down doesn't help this at all.
Trixie is in
down at bottom. S4 trying to bring down the bear in time. The entangle comes through, and they bring it down. They bring down both Bulldog and his bear, with S4 living with 12 HP. Loda in a bad spot, though. All they need is a little bit of vision, 1 more Lucent Beam from the high ground, and that's going to be it. So they actually pick up more kills as a result. 2 for 2 in the end. But I think the more relevant kills went the way of Fnatic against Alliance, and now they're looking for the tier 1.
They actually wasted a ton of Trixie's time there. I think he said Bulldog and his bear, because again, Trixie is the second most famous lone druid here, not the most famous. Trixie dove really, really deep to kill S4, and he was actually about to when EGM managed to get that power shot pick off. I actually think that was an okay trade for Alliance. They lose Loda, of course, but they managed to pick up Trixie, who is the hardest farming person on Fnatic right now.
I kind of have to disagree. It's my opinion, of course. It's back and forth. We'll see if it's a moot point or not. But right now, Clockwork got his level 6 from level 4 out of that. They got a tier 1 tower. They killed Loda, who is their primary farmer. And at that stage, I kind of feel like they went tit for tat, but the tower tipped it. The scales in favor of Fnatic, in my opinion.
Courier, too. The Alliance picked up the Courier.
So that bounces it. Even more, just turns it into a little bit of a convoluted back and forth. But, you know, both teams getting some benefits.
It was definitely a weird fight, sort of completely different things going on opposite ends of the map. Both sort of, it was honestly just an overextension from Trixie. He thought he had the kill, and I frankly thought he had the kill. But
yeah, so close, so close.
They just want S4 so badly. And that time, they just didn't quite get it. And you see, he's actually finished his Arcane Booth 600 gold. Watch for this Blink on Magnus. Blink Magnus is core to Alliance's plans this game. And it's a credit to Fnatic that they've delayed it as long as they have, but you're not going to delay it forever.
Sure. So, at this stage, it will be coming out, and he's only 1,500 gold away, but there's many more opportunities for Fnatic to go for pickoffs. They still have range of initiation. They have a lot of control in this position here. Now, with Chen's creep along with the Stolen Nature's Call, they can just push down on this tower all they want. I was talking about how good Plague Wards are, but they're not that good. And in this sense, I think the Tier 1 tower might be falling pretty quickly unless S4 pulls something out of the bag. But right now, there's just too much damage coming in, and it should fall. They pop off the fortification. They want to hold it, but down on bottom, Trixie is also pushing down on that bottom tier 2. So dropping 2 towers very, very quickly. And the last hit, I believe... Oh, they go on in. They're looking for an opportunity. S4, though, such low life, gets bursted before anything can come out. Bulldog in a bad spot. Gets netted. Is going to get clapped, and from here, he should get dropped down. Loda dropping a call down. A lot of damage coming onto Era. He is trapped on in a tiny corner. He gets the finishing blow on Admiral Bulldog before dropping himself. And they just go back and forth. The deny will go for Alliance in a moment. They're not done yet, though. Loda in proximity to Hani. They're going to drop off that missile on a no-tail, but taking so much damage from the Test of Faith. He is getting dropped so quick. They're going on Ake as well there. The bear gets the entangle, brings it down, and is going to get the tower kill. Trixie really, really turning things around for Fnatic here, looking for a kill onto Ake, but he's going to try to die to Roche and will succeed. Oh my goodness, this team fight. Forcing out a buyback from Gyrocopter. He wants more, but I don't think he can get it. He's pretty much all by himself with a out-of-mana Windrunner.
Nice, good deny on Roche, or rather Ake using himself to die on Roshan, but Trixie, absolutely fantastic presence of mind there. Actually, nice job by Hani, just cogsing so the treants can't actually get to fly. There's teamwork for you.
Man.
Everybody's just making sure this poor little Rubik doesn't get picked off. So Trixie really made the difference that time. Absolutely. He did everything he wanted to do, got the last hit on the tier 2 tower here, rotates over, pincers Alliance from the back when they're all low, kills Loda, gets the tier 2 tower even with EGM actively trying to deny it. I mean, Trixie was all over that fight.
Yeah, exactly. He just made things happen once he got in the picture, and that's really strong showing for Fnatic. Not only can they do so much in 4v5 because they just bursted that Magnus so darn hard, but as a follow-up, once they got together as a 5-man, one entangle, and they suddenly just skyrocket in their gold gains. We do see Invisible Loda trying to make something happen here, but Ake's not going to get in range yet. They actually drop off all that damage, but here's the mechanism. Here's the Eclipse bursting down Venomancer. No spells for him. Bulldog in the action. Will he make something happen here? He does get the sprout off on a no-tail, but he's kind of a low priority target after the Hand of God is already expended. They drop the RP. S4, he stole it. Fly has RP stolen. Era still alive. One Lucent Beam to finish it off, and now looking at Loda. They are going to be able to RP him, entangle him, and finish him off. That is a full 4-man swing for Fnatic. And that's after Gyrocopter just popped buyback. He's got no gold to work with now.
Ouch. That was a horrible fight for Alliance. And I gotta say, sometimes these guys are so good. They're so consistently great, and then sometimes they just get so greedy, Blaze.
Yeah.
Why commit so much to No-Tail there?
Yeah, they really wanted him.
They skewered in with... so he didn't have skewer for the entire fight, pretty much, S4.
Yeah.
Loda uses his invisibility rune, and all they would have gotten if it had worked, all they would have done was kill No-Tail.
Radiant.
And instead, they pay so dearly for it. Fly, he's going to hang on to this RP. Keep an eye out for this Rubik hitting RP in the next fight.
Yeah, he didn't have the spells to spam out, and they fly just finding his opportunity, waiting for it. It's hard for Rubik to hold on to a spell steal that long in engagement. He had no spells to speak of, but he was waiting for it. He's just like, come on, Magnus, you have to cast it sometime. And when he did, when he dropped the hammer down on Luna, that accomplished nothing, and Fly picked it up to turn it around. I mean, the one on Gyrocopter was okay. It probably prevented Hani from dying, and on top of that, they have it for the next engagement. Whether or not he gets to use it, it's setting it up so that Alliance know that they have it and have to be afraid of it. Can't really push out here, and that allows Fnatic to play much more in their style. We do see Bulldog TPing in behind enemy lines here. Hani in a bit of a rough patch. He cannot ulti into safety, but Admiral Willa going for the Sprout will lock Hani in. No tree cutters, but he does have that TP scroll. Either way, they're not going too deep, knowing the TP retaliation can come at pretty much any time. But Rubik actually expending a spell steal to pick up the Shockwave. It was only a rank 1 spell steal, so he only has it for so long. Do you think that was a good move, or?
I mean, if they don't think that, it's fine. Rank 1 spell steal, you're right, it only lasts so long. If he had lost it prior to the next team fight, he would have wasted that entire time. There's a lot of other good abilities, and it's only rank 1 RP. It's not like it was rank 2.
Sure.
S4, I mean, I've already seen some people in stream saying, like, oh, S4 is playing horribly. It's not that. It's that
pressure.
Fnatic realized that S4 was so big in the first game that they would have to commit tremendous amounts of resourcing to actually bring him down this time. And they have. They've limited the effect of the Magnus substantially. He still doesn't have Blink at 17.5 minutes. Like, he'll get it sooner or later. He's only about 400 off, but Alliance having some trouble, and that last team fight was really costly. I mean, they really fell behind there, and now levels, you see Era up at level 13, Trixie at level 12, Loda only 11. And Power makes up for a little bit of underfarm on Gyro, because it gives you a percentage boost on your damage. But because S4 is only 10, he only has rank 1 in Power.
Yeah. Truth, and that's going to be very, very limiting. And as you're saying about we are going to probably see some engagement. They go on with the battle cry, the armlet up. They at least will snipe off these ancients, if not pick up a kill for themselves. Okay, does not need to be here. He's so darn slow. He already has the low base movement speed. There's the Orb of Venom, but they're not actually going to go on top of him. Not sure where Magnus is, and S4 does have that Blink Dagger. Needs to use it very effectively in these next few seconds, but they're falling back. They're letting them have the ancients, and as such, they are buying time for Bulldog to keep farming, and possibly Loda as well, but they are going to have to be very patient about how they proceed from here. Actually smoking on up. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, they couldn't fight that fight at the Ancients. Fnatic were way too well positioned, and Alliance would have had to filter in. Now, even though Orb of Venom used on Venomancer does make him 10 times stronger, it's still not quite strong enough.
Okay, so
and Fnatic, the thing is, both of these teams are stacked Ancient clearers, and Fnatic just secured themselves 2 sets of stacked Ancients.
It's insane.
Not just theirs, but Alliance's as well.
Manta up on Era, farming away on these with the Moonglaves just so darn quickly, and this is a desperate position for Alliance. Now look at the GPM just skyrocket up, 540 for Era, and 473 for Trixie, both just way over the top compared to Loda or any of the other members of Alliance. Now we do see up top Hani in a very close position. As for, I'm not sure if his smoke expired naturally, but now he's going to come out to play, going in for that Blink Skewer, and they are putting Hani in a terrible spot. The Blade Mail does pop off, but it's only going to dish out a little bit of damage in return before he himself falls, and there's no chance for any retaliation. Fnatic knows this, so they just start putting pressure on the tier 2. Fortification already popped off, and we're going to see this drop down extremely quickly.
He's got Blink.
Looking for Magnus. No, it's 2 right clicks. The bear's already down, but they might be able to get a return kill. No, there's the test of faith. Arrow's going to be sent out, and from here, they don't have any ground to stand on. There's even wards giving vision to S4, and they know that they're in full control of this position. They might lose their tier 1 bottom, but even then, Luna just TPs right on down. She does have that second life and can pretty much live life on the edge right now.
No, Alliance are going to have to somehow put together a huge... They have the Blink on Magnus, and they need a big RP at this point. It's tough. They're really actually substantially behind. The Clockwork, I love this Blade Mail pickup because he's several levels behind, but Blade Mail evens the odds a tiny bit because a lot of people, like for instance Gyrocopter, can't control whether he hits you or not. Yeah. So essentially free damage on him if the Clockwork is in range at all. So even if you're behind on levels, that Blade Mail can help quite a bit. And Loda, he's not bringing the damage right now, Blaze. He only has this Ogre Club building towards his BKB, and even that is still... Does he have any more items? No, it's still
that's
quite
literally
a ways
it.
off.
So it's very, very painful for him. He's going to have a long time before he builds up to a real, like, long-term item. The BKB will be great up against the Blade Mail, living through the burst of Luna and Rubik and such. But it's just he's in a rough spot, and he needs a couple thousand more gold really, really quickly. Bulldog going in behind enemy lines with this Shadow Blade. They don't have any detection. They're going on in, but the Clockwork, the Sentries, Hani actually screws over Bulldog completely. S4 looking for an opportunity, but the Clogs really, really screws it over. They did use up all their clips, but they've already taken 2 kills, forcing Alliance to go on the defensive, and although they have vision, I don't think Fnatic can pursue. Either way, every single engagement has been in favor of Fnatic. It's pretty much flipping the script from what happened in Game 1 as far as the kills go. 15-5 in favor of Fnatic. Alliance is just finding absolutely nothing.
Little bit of mispositioning, both from Bulldog and Loda there, and consequently they're the two that die. Loda a little too far up. Bulldog, just a little bit of irrational exuberance coming in with that Shadow Blade, and Fnatic just very smart. They're like, hey, there are Alliance players here, and we know that Prophet has Shadow Blade. Probably we should put down a sentry. It completely catches out Bulldog. EGM did his best, Blaze. The Eclipse was actually completely wasted. Not a single hit of it hit anybody because of that perfect shackle shot.
Sure.
But it didn't matter because Bulldog was in cogs, and Loda was just too far up with no escape.
Exactly. And I honestly don't feel like the Shadow Blade is going to put them much more on the board than they already were. They don't have any more map control. The sentries are out everywhere for Fnatic. They're blocking off each and every camp, screwing over anybody that wants to find farm there. And if they can't find farm in their own jungle, then where are they going to go? The lanes are all pushed in. The Ancient Camp is even friggin' obs warded. I didn't even notice that, but over 3 minutes ago, they haven't been able to get their Ancients. So they're just starving out Alliance, and we're going to see this gigantic gold graph difference going in favor by far. Fnatic taking about an 11k lead right now.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic's vision... Ooh, almost. All right. We did see... Sorry, who the hell is on Rubik? Fly has actually found his Blink Dagger. He's about 1,000 gold past that, so he can even get Blink and Force Staff. And that gives even more initiation power. If I'm Fnatic, I seek to just push very, very hard before Loda gets his BKB. And I think that's going to be something that Alliance will have a great difficulty dealing with. That's why right now you see them doing so much of this aggressive split pushing.
Yeah,
get Fnatic's attention diverted away. Make sure that they're not pushing as 5 down onto your racks. And eke out that BKB for Gyrocopter. Eke out those critical items that when the fight comes, when Fnatic attempt a high ground, you can still hope to win. In
this position here, Hani might get caught out. He's in a really, really bad spot. If they just had a little bit of vision, they could either they're going to find him. Here they go. They're going to walk right on in, get the skewer, the shackle, whatever they need. Hani will deliver a little bit of damage in return, but those spikes aren't going to change the fact that he indeed is dropping down. But they're okay to lose this kind of a hero at this stage. It is a level 10 Clockwork. It's not the best. I mean, you obviously don't want your heroes to die, but they're pushing out mid, they're pushing out bottom, and they're getting even more farmed. You're talking about key items on Gyrocopter, but what's Luna going to pick up? She's almost got her BKB outright, and from there, actually she does, if that's what she's going, which is, you know, it's a Mithril Hammer, I'd presume, but nevertheless, plenty of different options, plenty of different damage dealing sources, and now about to hit level 16. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better for Alliance.
Definitely. There's going to be a very painful process. I don't think they're out. Alliance, they have enormous upside, and if Magnus lands an RP, if they can take advantage of it, they can still win fights. It's just going to be a long and hard road to actually reach that point. For now, Fnatic, I actually feel like they're playing a little bit more defensively than they could. What I suspect they're doing is waiting for Roshan and then immediately high grounding after that.
Exactly. Actually, well, they're smoking right now, but Roche will be spawning in just a short time period. Or actually, my clock seems to be bugged out, so I'm not sure the exact time. No, about a minute is what we're looking at there.
About a minute.
Either way, Geometry Sight active on Chen, but we have seen Alliance trying to break through and get their camp spawning. 25-minute mark is when two of the 3 camps are going to be spawning on up. But yeah, they realize that it's been blocked, and they just have put out so much money to try to actually get the Alliance carries online. But now, going on in, I mean, they have the smokes, they have the blink initiation for Fly. He's actually going for maybe a BKB of his own, hard to say. But here we go. There goes the telekinesis. Bulldog is already dead, and that's just so darn quick. Bear shackled the bear, but they're going to find Roche because they are going in 5 versus 4. We were talking about S4's RPs. First of all, he's only found 1 single RP this entire game. And along with that, and yeah, of course, and along with that, they're in a position where without the Prophet's damage, I honestly feel like a 5-man RP might not be enough to bring them down. They have Hand of God, they have Mechanism, and Gyrocopter isn't that farmed. So we see this fortification coming on out, the Mantle Illusions, the Bear doing work, but just shackling up non-relevant units is going to be allowing them to finish off the tier 3 here.
Yep. They get the tier 3. They're going to back out. They're a little bit low on health. What they can do here is take the Roshan. He just respawned. Alliance, they spent a lot of gold to actually clear out. There was an enormous Fnatic ward presence. I know that you had mentioned it, but I want to quickly say, Fnatic had the perfect vision of Alliance's map for a while there. Alliance have countered all of it, but they still haven't found any sort of map control of that, because Bulldog still died.
Sure.
And now I think Fnatic they're going to try to get these lanes pushed up far enough to get the safe Roshan.
Okay.
And then I don't know how how Alliance stopped the Rax. What do you think?
It's difficult. It's extremely difficult in this position. I mean, they can continuously just create a forest of plague wards, and that'll certainly help them a little bit. But pretty much they have to control the battlefield a lot better than they already have. Right now, the Cogs and the Bears' potential for entangle is forcing Alliance to be moving in very, very predictable fashions. S4 needs to nullify that, needs to jump on in, and instead of counter-initiating, has to find a really good single initiation. Go for a blink skewer pick off, something like that, because otherwise they're just going to get completely screwed over. Like I said, even with the Nature's Prophet, they might not have enough damage to bring down anybody on Fnatic during an RP, and from there, the Hand of God, the Mechanism, and the Spell Steal will come out, and Rubik will bring that hammer of counter-initiation down. It's just going to be so difficult to deal with. They see them moving on in, though, and this Roche is their pretty much last hope. They have to take this here.
I don't know if it's the last hope, but yes, definitely. This is a decent opportunity, but you see Fnatic, just the bear.
Going on in, they get the hookshot onto creeps, only the skewer out. This is what they need. They get the RP on top of Era, on top of the bear. There's the Hand of God. Loda delivering a lot of damage here. Hani will drop down. Blade Mail doing nothing, but Era delivering a huge amount of damage. Dust is up. Shadowblade not helping, but Era doesn't want to risk his only life. Roshan is still up and available, looking for an entangle onto Loda, but instead just falling back from here. Alliance have swung this completely in their favor, looking for more. They get the blink off from Fly. He will get on out of there, but they should be able to pick up one more. The bear, the lone druid, there's the Luna.
Era.
Finally finding Era, and they're going to lock him down. Buyback is available, and it's hard to say whether or not it's the best option to contest it. They lose their bear a second time. He will be able to resummon it safe and sound at home, though. No-tail, doing a good work with that Holy Persuasion.
What a bad fight for Fnatic, and the Eclipse actually primarily hit on Treants. Partially luck, partially good job of Bulldog for putting those Treants out, but it's a good fight for Alliance. They need a few more of those.
A lot more of those, in my opinion, but they'll get there. They definitely are. I mean, those Treants tanked up so much. They took a clockwork hook to the face, and then a bajillion Elusive Beams from the Eclipse, so they were able to take a lot of poundings, but they were very impactful. RP is not going to be available, so this is a pretty big deal. S4 getting bursted down hard, but they just ignore him. They're like, screw the half HP, Magnus. We know what the issue is. Bulldog tries to Shadow Blade out, but gets destroyed anyways. Loda coming on in, trying to finish something off. Buyback from Nature's Prophet going on in. Era, will he get the Aegis? No. Loda snipes it. Era will be dropped down here, and this is huge. Bringing down Era a second time, going for more. Trixie will be Test of Fate out. The bear, his not going to be recalled, though. And maybe it will. Either way, that is a lot of damage coming into Fnatic. They used the buyback from Luna. She still died a second time, and now Loda has that one-up mushroom, the second portal, and they're going to go for a big push as a result. Getting a sprout off onto Hani, finishing this off here. He will not be able to get on out of it. Just too much damage coming on through. He does pop Blade Mail, but there is going to be his death.
There's nothing to hook to. What you actually saw Bulldog there, using Treants to make sure that Hani couldn't hook to this creep camp over here. Really smart. Oh my god, that could have been the turn, or at least that's a turn. Two excellent engagements from Alliance, actually. Risky, but they had to play risky. And, wow, yeah, I don't know. The one thing I wanted to say was S4, good RP. The Eclipse from Era didn't really matter, and Loda gets a lot. We talked about how we didn't see them being able to defend high ground. I still think that was probably right, but what they could do was take an amazing fight around Roshan, because there's elements of the Roshan pit that make it more favorable for Alliance versus fighting on the high ground. And they use those elements to great effect. Good jumping in with the blink, skewering out, good ability to manipulate the fight around these sort of high ground, low ground areas. And in the end, Loda just... He was in a position where Fnatic couldn't just throw everything onto him. And consequently, he just won. He won the duel with Era. He picked up his Aegis, which he's still hanging on to. And in the process of those two huge fights, Blaze, he's gotten the entirety of a butterfly.
Exactly. He's just bounced back so hard. He only had a BKB and a few spare coins, but he's able to turn that into something amazing. This evasion is going to be a thorn in Fnatic's side for some time. Entangle procs will be far less likely. Luna, until she picks up a Monkey King bar, just won't be on a point in 1v1 damage as long as he's BKBing the Eclipse. Apex. So Alliance is really, really bouncing back. I was talking about how they had to control the battlefield, how they needed to manipulate the position of their opponents rather than being controlled themselves, and S4 most certainly delivers. That was just really, really great movement for him, and now he has a 4-staff, can make even more of those big plays and screw over Fnatic completely. So, at this stage, I'm not sure what's going on with Vickermon, but, at this stage, I mean, the drone charges have been expended from Luna. Yeah, it looks like there is some connection issue between us. Hopefully that'll be fixed in just a second. Are you there?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
Cool. So, at this stage, Fnatic are losing their grip. The experience has actually just now hit in favor of Alliance, and they, of course, have much more farming potential. They're all over the jungle. They're actually really, really rebounding 100%. They have a Butterfly, they have an Aegis, they still have a good few minutes left on that. So, are they just going to go for a full 5-man mid push?
While they have the Aegis, I still don't think Alliance are comfortable enough to just push through and win. It's a little too risky. The buyback cooldowns are going to be up very soon for Fnatic. Arrow will hold on to that buyback money if he can, and I don't see Alliance high grounding yet. I think they have to wait. They might not want to wait. We know that they're a team that likes to just take that win when it's there, but in my opinion, it would be too risky. They should just keep developing, get a little more on Loda. Level 11 on Ake is not to be underestimated, actually. That second rank of Poison Nova is going to do substantially more damage. So they'll just get the supports a little bit more into the game, get more and more on Loda, and try to cultivate inevitability.
Yeah. Most definitely. And just as a reminder, viewers, there was one mistake when we were in the lobby. The tick at the top, for those that have tuned in since the beginning of the game, I'll just reiterate that that is not an accurate representation of the best-of-3 series. It was Game 1 going the way of Alliance, and if they take this, they drop Fnatic down into the losers bracket. So the stakes are pretty high. And, of course, they're just going to be fighting their hearts out, but kind of from behind at this stage. Fnatic has a technical gold lead, but with the stage Gyrocopter is at, he's going to get bigger, and it's going to be so much more difficult for Chen and Rubik to deal with that incidental damage without getting their Blink Daggers put on cooldown and possibly just getting dropped down outright.
Yeah. Trixie, again, he has the Cuirass now, so this armor benefit for their entire team is a big deal when you're dealing with Gyro Flak Cannon. The only issue is, if No Tail drops very early, if Fly drops very early, like, he's actually building towards a, it looks like a BKB.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
But I think I would prefer to see a Ghost Scepter, frankly. He's close to the gold for it. And keeping Rubik alive and getting big spells off is going to be important for them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, but it's also very difficult. Going a Ghost Scepter against a Venomancer, against the Magnus, they do a substantial amount of magic damage, so in that 4 seconds, you could be taking just as much incidental damage from the Veno as you would from the Gyrocopter, so it's really difficult, and they have to time it carefully.
It's more expensive, though. If
you see the Flak Cannon coming out, I definitely would be the better item pickup, so...
Are we racing?
No, I mean,
way. Yeah,
they'll just go for TPs. They're gonna pretty much play chicken a little bit, force at least one TP out, and then make their move on the jungle. Just keep them farming while Gyrok has to keep on hiding, because now that the Aegis is about to expire, they feel a lot more comfortable about their position, and along with that, Era is looking for his Butterfly pretty soon. He bought out for it, has no buyback available, but he says, screw it, if I can't strike true on Gyrocopter, I'm just gonna make sure that when we're dueling back and forth, that I'm gonna be evading as much as him, other than the 6 free auto attacks he gets from Flak Cannon.
Wait, where's his Butterfly? I only see
No, he has the Eagle Song, but he's moving towards it, is what I'm saying.
Right. Okay.
And we do see a blink in for Magnus.
Trying to hunt.
He is really, really wanting a kill. He's just tromping on through the jungle, this raging mammoth, blocking down the forest. I don't think his buddy Nature's Prophet's going to appreciate that too much.
Yeah, I have to say, just that turn, that one fight, got them so much. Look at how S4 is doing, and then think about how he looked 15 minutes ago. Barely creeping towards his Blink Dagger. Now 4-staff 2,000 gold. Now this Magnus is once again a force to be reckoned with. His initiation power has dramatically improved. Even somebody like EGM now, he's got the Urn mechanism, 2,500 gold. Alliance have buyback on all heroes except for Ake. Oh no, that's sorry. Admiral Bulldog doesn't have it either. But just the fact that EGM has it, S4 has it, and Loda has it is a big deal. Even if S4 makes an error in defending their high ground, if Fnatic go high ground, he can buy back, jump in. It'll be so quick because he's got TP Blake 4-staff.
Yeah.
He could die before RPing, buy back, and still cast the game-winning RP.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible, and Ake has a Force Staff to boot, so a little bit of movement, good movement for him, and along with that, you can always jump the Magnus back on in. If he didn't have enough initiation, well, that's 2,400 plus 3,600 units. If you get 2 Force Staffs, a Blink, and a Skewer, he can be anywhere he wants to be. And that's really, really good for Alliance. Their team fight has so much more flexibility when they have that kind of mobility to just throw on out there. So I think they're honestly in a more controlling position. They just need to be a little bit more aggressive with the wards. Right now, the Dire are still kind of holding the line at their river and not really forcing the issue on Era. As far as the late game carry, I've been in this debate multiple times over, but in my opinion, between flat cannons, Luna is always going to triumph, so it's just a matter of how impactful those flat cannons are. And I honestly think the stable damage over time is going to be much more of an impact with so many heals on the board.
Talking about Luna?
I'm talking about Luna versus Gyrocopter, late game scalability potential.
I don't know, Blaze. We'll have to see. In some respects, sure, but Loda has Empower. That's a big scale tip. He will deal just truly incredible damage with the Empower and with the damage he's getting. He also has Lifesteal before Era does, so in the last, in actually the last team fight, we saw Era eventually getting in a 1v1 with Loda. Yeah. Loda won that, and with Lifesteal, he's going to win it comfortably.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very good point to make. At this stage, Era has to be looking towards fighting out other heroes and just surviving on through the Gyrocopter. Just not worrying about him at all, focusing down on the supports, breaking down those painful shackles. The Magnus, of course, is the primary target to pick off. And if they can accomplish that, Gyrocopter can be left for last because, I mean, Lifesteal is not going to do too much. If they get the hook shot stun, followed by all these other disables, the bashes from the bear, things like that will be a pretty big factor.
Absolutely. What did, actually just Shockwave picked up for Fly there. Thought it might be Skewer, but it's not. So, at this point, it's going to be like this for a little while. I think we're going to see a more defensive posture from both teams. The thing is, neither can high ground the other, and there's no other objectives on the map besides Roche and Raxus.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to be like, oh, we'll go get an outer tower. Obviously, either team could take an outer tower off of the other now, but there aren't any. Alliance have this gaping wound, so they have this missed tier 3. If they get out of position, or if it devolves into a race, I don't see them beating Fnatic. This is a lesson that Alliance know well, because, of course, they taught it to Dignitas.
Yeah.
So they know that base racing, even when you have a gyro, even if he had a rapier, which he doesn't, it's really tough to beat that bear.
Yeah.
My understanding is that bears do not give a fuck.
Yeah,
so,
that has been confirmed. In fact, no fucks given by the Spirit Bear. So that can be a very, very big factor. I mean, you are up against Nature's Prophet. He's great at split push, but right now, as you mentioned, the teams are on the defense, and so the split push isn't really a viable option for Bulldog. He's been spending so much time in like his half of the map in his jungle, never pressuring towers whatsoever because he's got team fight items.
Yeah. But it's just more of, it's more just an explanation why I think people are going to look at this and be like, oh, why aren't these teams doing anything? Well, it's in a bit of a stalemate right now. The next thing that we're going to see is Roshan, because he did just respawn in the last 30 seconds. And both teams critically want this Roshan to give them that scale tipper. We do see actually a smoked up Spirit Bear, so this is the advanced scout for Fnatic here. It's just this bear.
They can recall it immediately as soon as the smoke expires, and along with that, they're flanking on in. They're finding out S4. Can they get some damage off before the blink, before the force? He has Invisor 2. No, the blink comes through. The Eclipse whiffs, and S4 is out of there. Oh, that could have been amazing for them. That would have set up their entire follow-up fight. That would have handed them Roshan. But no, S4 with the reflexes, ninjaing on out of there with a really good blink force.
Amazing timing from S4, and oh my god, I can't believe they used Eclipse for that. Now they don't have that big spell for the next fight. They simply don't. And
they're smoking back. Alliance wrapping around. They're going to find out Hani. This could be bad. He has a Force Staff of his own. Era, even worse. They're going to walk right on into him. They go with the Manta. They do not hit with the Gale. Now, they're fighting on terms that neither team really wanted, but nevertheless will proceed on through with. Loda is still with his team, not getting picked off yet, and we are actually going to see... I don't know, that was a test phase for a creep, so both teams still not willing to engage. Neither feels comfortable about this. It's kind of ironic. Abyssal is up on Spear Bear. He's probably got to transfer that to Master, or no, just get dropped down. They do sprout him up. They're going to missile him down, but they don't want to go too deep for it. Committing to one thing, and suddenly you just get completely counter-initiated on both of them. So close, so back and forth. The support's on such low life, but mowing down the creeps, oh my gosh. They are just drawing the line, and the only one that can pierce through is the Spear Bear, but not for much longer. It's such low life, just needs an entangle, but no. There is a Shackle on Era. This is going to be it. They go for the RP. Solo, they get it stolen, though. It's going to come out through. Big RP coming out from the Blink initiation from the Rubik. Loda doing nothing right now, but still, no damage coming out in either direction. Are they just going to fall back? Nobody is dying. Finally, Loda gets a kill on the Rubik. No Tail shackled up will be another pickoff, but the core heroes on the run. They will be able to just walk on out of here.
This is Aegis, I think. This is no buyback for Fly. He got that Ghost Scepter. No buyback for No Tail. This is Aegis for Alliance. It's
and Cheese.
Go on
and
Loda
Cheese.
Again, and
Cheese
what
on
a
Bulldog.
bad fight in the end for Fnatic. Yeah, it's a Cheese Rush too, Blaze. Oh my god. Era just getting caught out. We talked right at the beginning of the game, we talked about that EGM Windrunner support, and that was the shackle of a lifetime. Landing on Era prior to BKB, and Fnatic are like, oh shit, we didn't want to fight yet. And so they were caught at the wrong moment. They lose their supports. They get Era out, but so that's, I don't know. I can't even state how rough that is for them now. With the Aegis on Loda, with the Cheese on, is it Bulldog?
I think they would have put on Bulldog. It makes the most sense. Yeah, they do have it on him as well. And he's going to go for his own Monkey King bar. Already up on Gyrocopter. They're going to pierce on right through this Butterfly, be able to send out the right-click damage. And if Luna gets picked off, disabled in any way, we're just going to see a lot of pain coming on through. And man, that was just a weird fight. It was like an old Mexican standoff, just kind of circling on around, ready to go, but still waiting for the trigger to be pulled. And that shackle was most certainly the trigger.
Yeah, I want to call to mind the Wasted Eclipse, because Fnatic would have felt so much more comfortable going in if they had the Eclipse. And to initiate onto Magnus would have meant that they knew that Era had the BKB, like, because he would pop the BKB as they went in. So lacking that Eclipse meant that they didn't feel the comfort, and as a result, it's just Alliance whittled away the seconds. They whiled away the seconds until they knew that they could get a favorable engagement. And so it all comes to mind that failed gank on S4 ended up costing them really, really dearly. Loda taking some damage up here, but good shackle again on the Bear.
He's got lifesteal, he's got his Aegis Immortal, he'll save his BKB until his second coming. He's comfortable to just deliver that damage to the tier 3, and as such, flat cannon it away to anybody that happens to be nearby. So he's not being pressured, they're dropping Plague Wards up in the base, and they're ready to rumble for round 2. Eclipse is up though, and so it is going to be a full 5v5. We go for the Skewer Initiation. Trixie pulled out of position, getting bursted hard, and without this Bear, it could be devastating. S4 with a beautiful reverse polarity. Era locked in place, dropping him down. Where is that? No, just feels Shockwave. Era not going to be able to duel with it, and the buybacks just they're there, but it might not be enough to save the racks right here. Triple kill for Loda, delivering so much damage. And they just don't have a response. Bob back from Luna. She has to go in now, but she's up against 4. She's up against a Scythe coming up in 12 seconds. They're not going to be able to force him back, and this is going to be the full bottom rack set. The Yules going for the skewer on the Era. He might get picked off again. He will, and that might just be the game right here. They can go for mid. They can finish off Hani. Godlike spree for Loda, and they will take this second game 2-0 in favor of Alliance. They take it, and Fnatic taps out.
Oh my god, Blaze. We talked at the beginning about how Fnatic known for their ability to play from behind, but Alliance in these last, I would say, week and a half to 2 weeks, they've kind of just tiered up. They've leveled up as a team. I feel like they really bring just very close to the most complete package of any Western team right now, and that's what we saw here. They were behind 15 to 4 kills. Multiple level deficiency on every hero, and they took advantage of what may have been a bit of hesitation again on Fnatic's part. Fnatic wanted to wait for the Aegis let's call to mind, this happened at like 20-ish minutes. Fnatic have the opportunity to start going high ground. They take the tier 3, and then they don't high ground. They wait for the second Roshan. I think that that mistake is pretty small compared to some of their later mistakes, like wasting an Eclipse on chasing S4, getting Era caught out in that big team fight at bottom. But it calls to mind a more strategic error for Fnatic here, which is that, again, I feel like they got a little panicked about Alliance. They were like, how can they punish us? How can they completely destroy us in a moment here? And all the extremely careful Fnatic-esque groundwork that they laid they dominated S4 early. Yeah. Like, completely took him out of the game, and then just quietly let him get back in, up until the point at which Alliance win 2 Roche engagements, get Loda back. Loda, actually, honestly, Loda played amazingly. He had great positioning and really earned Alliance a lot this game. And good on S4 also for his composure. falling behind, and instead of falling further behind, sitting there, getting his items, performing, just this cool, composed, I don't know. Alliance, they're really impressing me. They should have lost that, and they didn't, and they're amazing.
Of course, undeniably, the turning point was in that Roche engagement where they were able to pull out both the Bear and the Luna, skewering them out of the pits, following up with reverse polarity, and just destroying that fight. Subsequently, another one immediately after the fact, taking down Luna twice in a row, stopping her in her